Welcome everybody to the RGA Podcast. We got great guests today. Unfortunately, Matt cannot make it today, and it's just going to be me. And we got Miss Shirley Jump on the line. And you know what? It's going to be a good show because, we got to really dig down. Sometimes, we mention Shirley about, what she does and stuff like that, but she never really tells us the true truth. But so I've got her for 26 minutes and 30 seconds, and she's all mine. And we're going to talk about what she does and then what she does for RGA, because we always got to bring it back to the RG world. Welcome, Shirley. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. It's a good Monday morning, right?
It is. I love Mondays.
Or Monday afternoon, sorry.
Yeah, that's fine. I love Mondays. I think Mondays are awesome. It's actually one of our most busiest days in the studio because, it's really, really nice. And so let's tell everybody out there in America and the world what Miss Shirley Jump does.
So I am a book editor, ghostwriter, and author. I'm a New York Times, Wall Street Journal, Amazon, Publishers Weekly, and USA Today best-selling author myself of 85 books published in 24 countries. Wow. And for my clients, I help them build or edit their books. Like, these are some of the books that I've worked on, so that they can get a book out there and create a different revenue stream, because the money's not really in Amazon. It's in other ways of using your book to open doors. And a lot of my clients are doing exactly that with their books.
Yeah, because you were telling us, I think it was that you were working with somebody, but because somebody else saw your book, it opened a door for a bigger person, and then that person went like hog wild all over the book world.
Right. And that is like my latest client. He is the former immunologist for the White House for both administrations.
Fauci?
And I worked on his book. And his book is number one in 7 categories on Amazon.
Whoa.
And number one in 3 countries on Amazon. So, and that's the hardcover, $30 a pop. It's doing really, really well. And that a part of a book doing well is having really good content. You can have, all the publicity in the world, but if the content sucks, then the reviews are going to be bad and it's just not going to sell.
That is so true. That is so it's I didn't realize that hard book covers were still a thing.
Mm-hmm.
They are.
And you can self-publish a hardcover book if you want to. There's a hardcover option on Amazon. It's just making sure you have a cover designer that knows how to do a hardcover cover, because they have the inside flaps.
Because everything is different, right? About how the layout is and all that kind of fun. Yeah, I know. I don't self-do anything other than do video. That's. I don't want to learn anything else. If I learn something else, I'm going to forget my kid's name. That's not good. So,
just like Married with Children, Kelly, where one fact goes in and another fact goes out.
Exactly, right? Bob. I mean Miss Shirley. So how did you get into this world?
So when I was 11, my parents sponsored a family from Laos, and it was a really life-changing experience to have 3 people who didn't speak English living in my house. So I wrote a little essay about it, and my dad's secretary typed it up on the Royal Selectric. That's how long ago it was. It was 1981. And I sent it into the local newspaper, and they decided to run it and do a story on me and my family. And that made me decide that I wanted to be a journalist. And so a few months later, I called a local weekly paper, which is kind of like the Clearwater Beacon size paper.
Okay.
And pitched them a story over the phone. And they asked me if I was in high school, and I lied and said I was. And that's how I got my first job in nonfiction in a newspaper.
And you just been have you ever done anything else, or is that kind of like, this is what I love to do, this is what I'm going to do, and that's just what you do?
So I thought I wanted to be like the next Jane Pauley. I actually did some cable television news and stuff like that locally, but I did not have that killer instinct to go call a family after their dad died on the family vacation, or go to a suicide and cover that. I just didn't have the stomach for it. And so journalism, I realized, wasn't really for me. I wanted to tell stories that had impact and meaning. So I started freelancing for magazines, and then got my first nonfiction book contract out of an article I wrote about somebody. And he was very pleased with how the article came out, so he hired me to ghostwrite his book. And that was my very first book contract.
So the world of publishing has really changed over the last, say, 10 years, right? I remember back in the day, to go to book, you had to go to a library or a bookstore. Now everything is online, it's digital or it's audio. I mean, let's expound on how much of the how hard it has changed, because it's changed a lot, right?
Yes, absolutely. There are 16 million books on Amazon right now, and there's 100,000 loaded every month. So by the end of this year, there'll be 17 million books on Amazon. So there's so much content out there. It's really, really hard to be seen and noticed and all of that. So marketing books has completely changed from how it was in the old days. There's no book tours. There's very few book signings. It's more about utilizing your social media network to get the word out.
Oh, okay. That makes more sense. I do have a friend that's a writer, and he does signings, but he has such a cornered a market where he does that. I can understand it. But so you literally walk from step A to step Z, and that's mean getting the product out and the whole 9 yards, right?
Yeah, we do everything from soup to nuts with the book. We do the cover, we do the formatting, we do every single word inside the book, and then we'll upload it to Amazon. The marketing piece I don't do, but I partner with a company that does do book marketing.
Okay.
So if clients want to have the book marketed, they have the next step that they can go on to. I worked in marketing for a few years, and I would rather chew off my own arm than ever go back to that. It was not fun. So I don't do that part of it.
When you say marketing, does that mean that these are the people that gets it in the bookstores and stuff like that, or do you do that as well, getting it onto Amazon, getting it onto whatever, or Wall Street Journal or Books A Million?
So we load it to Amazon so that people can order it. To get a book carried in a bookstore, and there are publishers out there that will tell you that they can get your book into every bookstore in the country. And technically they're telling the truth, but really they're lying. Because the only people that have the distribution to be able to get into the Barnes & Noble in Topeka, Kansas, for instance, is one of the big five, the traditional publishers, Random House, Berkeley, Penguin Putnam, those guys.
Right.
Traditional publishers can do that, but self-published people don't have access to that distribution network that the professionals use.
Right.
So you can have your book ordered by a store in Topeka, but you can't. It won't be carried nationwide. It will be on the internet though. Yeah. And that's why you have to do your own marketing to get the word out, to get people to order the book.
Now, when you say upload to Amazon, does Amazon actually take the digital and they print to order, or do they actually, you have to buy inventory, send it to Amazon, and Amazon houses the books?
No, it's print on demand, which is awesome. Wow. Because if I have an event coming up in October, and I'm going to bring my book to sell there, right? And so I can have my books drop shipped right to the event, however many I need, 2 or 2,000, it doesn't matter. Wow. So I don't have to go through that hassle of pre-ordering them from a local printer and spending all that money on a certain print run.
Right.
So it's a really good system.
It does. Well, yeah, because what happens if you get? I love to listen to some of these artists and these book guys, and they're like, "Yeah, I've got about 25 cases in the garage." Right. Yay! Good for you.
Yeah, and that's what happens to a lot of people, because they buy a bunch of the books, they give them out to their friends and family, and then they don't do anything with it afterwards. And the thing is that a book opens doors that wouldn't be open to you otherwise, because you're an author and you look smarter and you are unique compared to everybody else. Even though there's 16 million books on Amazon, you and I know that it's very rare to meet an author in real life. Yep. And when you do meet somebody that's an author, it's like a unicorn, and everybody remembers that you're the one that wrote that book.
Right.
And if you have a really great product, then it becomes an excellent calling card for you to get into speaking or coaching or webinars or whatever you want to do.
Okay. So let's talk about ghostwriting. I mean, everybody's heard the term, but it's there. Some people go, "Well, she just wrote it and I didn't even tell her what to write," but that's not the way it works, right?
Not with me anyways. Okay. There are ghostwriters who will just create a product and not work with the client so much. And I have clients that don't like to read, but I tell them they have to read their own book, because that's a requirement. You got to make sure that it sounds like you.
Right.
I do what's called collaborative ghostwriting. So I generally, for most clients, maybe 85% of them, we have a call sort of like you and I are doing right now on Zoom. And I ask them questions. I'll have sent them an outline ahead of time so they know what to prepare. And we'll go back and forth. And it's sort of like my old journalism days, where I'm asking questions and taking notes. And then I build the chapter from that and send it to the client. They put their changes in or update it however they want to. And then it comes back to me to, finesse it. Because I want it to sound like them. I don't want you to pick up any of these books and be able to tell which words are mine. Okay. I want all of it to sound like the client.
Okay, so you specialize, like if you wrote one for me, you would specialize in dumbass because
Yeah, exactly.
I don't speak well. I mean, I try. I mean, and boy, you get me to read something, that would be kind of a miracle because I just don't. It's not that I don't know how. I rather watch a video or listen to audio. So now, do you also, once you get the book written and it's all published, do you also help them take that to an audio format as well? Or do you hand
I can
that off
refer them to somebody that does that because it's a kind of expensive proposition.
Yes.
Now, if your book does really well on Amazon, the audio producers will come to you and
they'll
buy
knock
the rights.
on your door.
That's happened to me several times. My books, Audible will come to me and say, we want to buy the rights to your book because it did really well on Amazon.
Nice.
The thing with any kind of publishing is that they want to know that it's a proven entity that's going to sell. And that's why it's still so hard to break into the traditional publishers and why so many people are taking the self-published route.
So say I'm writing about my life story, which will be really fast. How long does that really take? I mean, I know it's like, well, how long does it take to build a house? It depends on what you want. What are you doing? Whole 9 yards. But is there an average length of time?
The process of me takes about a year to write a book. They're 35 to 40,000 words, primarily because in the self-published market, that is an affordable book for you to print. If we do 90 to 100,000, like a book this long is 90,000 words. That's a lot of words.
Right.
And printing this is like, I don't know, $8 or $9 a copy. Whereas one that's only 35,000, 40,000 words is a lot thinner.
Right.
And that's only $4 or $5 a book to print. So it's more economical for you and you can sell it at a price point that people that don't know you will buy it.
Okay.
So that process to create a book that long is about a year.
Okay. And then you also help them with the artwork and all that kind of fun stuff too, right?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, we do all of that.
That is amazing. I mean, so the process is, to get started with you is basically, I've got to meet with you. We sit down. Do you do Zoom or do you have to do it in person or phone calls or how does that work?
Whatever works for the client. Most of the time, the first meeting is often in person, but not always. Like the doctor was traveling around the country when I worked with him.
Yeah.
And I've got somebody coming up that I'm meeting with in Tennessee. And so not necessarily am I always meeting people in person.
Right.
A lot of it happens over phone calls or Zoom. And if I do a Zoom with a client where I'm writing a chapter with them, then basically they're just going to watch me type the whole time because I type almost as fast as people talk.
Really?
So I type very, very fast.
Yeah.
So a lot of times I'm like, you might as well just do a phone call because you're just going to watch my head down and my fingers on the keyboard.
We're not going to get eye to eye. I'm just making. So do you have people that like will actually record an audio and then send it to you for you to listen to go, okay, let me figure out how to make this work?
Yes, some people do that. Some people have those transcribed, but I'm sure you know that the audio transcription services are really not there yet. And so I just get this ginormous paragraph that makes almost no sense to me whatsoever.
Right.
Because it just doesn't really get the voice yet.
Okay. It does make sense. Because that would be me. I'd be like, okay, I'm going to send you an audio file and, I'm sorry.
Right.
I'm not good at it.
But I could listen to it. So if you send me the audio file instead of the transcript, it's probably going to be better for me. Because then I'll just do exactly what I would do on a Zoom and just type the chapter.
Right. So what does it take to get started?
So you mean money-wise or how to start the book?
Both of it. I mean, because you can't do it for free.
That's right. As much as I wish I could, because there's lots of people that would love it if I did. For me, I usually like to sit down with the client before we even go to contract and figure out what will make their book unique in the marketplace.
Okay.
There's, let's say there's 1 million realtors out there, right? We know that every 10 person in Florida seems to be a realtor. And so if you're going to do a book with a realtor, then you want it to be unique and you want it to be based on that realtor's life story.
Right.
I have a client, Katrina Mabrell, who is very much about relationship building. And so her book is selling through relationships, and it's all about how the real estate deal mirrors dating.
Okay.
Like the blind date, looking for the realtor, the first date where you have that first meeting, the breakup if things go wrong. All of that is likened to what real estate is like because that's how she approaches it. Right. And that's how she approaches everything that she does. So I try to come up with something unique from that first meeting because I don't want to waste the author's time when we're in the other meetings later on. And I also will tell them, frankly, if there's a market for what they're doing or not. Some people want to write just a memoir, and it's great to tell your life story, but if people don't know you, they don't really have an impetus to buy your life story.
Right.
So you've got to give them something that will transform their lives, or give them new information, or help them overcome some obstacle in their lives. So it's not just about, here's my life story. You want to give them something more.
Right.
So that's part of that first meeting. Okay. And then my contract has an NDA in it, which is a non-disclosure agreement. So I can't tell you all of the people I work for,
right.
Although some of my past clients are Today Show contributors and some people at HGTV. And I also, the client retains the copyright, which is really, really important. A lot of quote unquote publishers in the area will take the copyright, which means they have a right to the money that the book makes. And that's not fair to the author. That is your intellectual property, your ideas, your everything. My fee is only for the book. I'm in and out. And after that, the book is completely yours.
Okay.
And then to get started, it's 25% down. And then we work out a payment structure after that, depending on what the client wants.
Right. Now, do you ever do it where, and I know I ask this because I get asked this all the time. Do you ever do it where you get paid some up front or some of it, and then you get back in residuals, or when you're done, you're done?
I only do that if somebody wants to use my name on the cover, because my name, the New York Times bestselling author thing, does carry a little bit of cachet and a little bit more credibility. Not all clients want to do that. Vance Johnson did that with his book, and that was a strategic decision because he wanted it written in third person, and so it's written by me, and it's his whole story, but he's also listed as the author because it really is his story.
Right.
So some clients will do that. And then if you're using my name, because I spent 30 years building that name, then I'm going to take a portion of the royalties. But still, the majority of the money goes to the author because it's their story and their intellectual property.
Gotcha. Well, let's we got about 10 minutes left. So you've written one book now for RGA, correct?
Yes.
Well,
yeah.
You've help write everybody's story.
Right. The best business minds in Tampa Bay.
Right. Now, I'm in that book, not the one I'm the best business minds, but technical, I am very good at technical stuff. But I didn't really have to do that much. I just had to fill out some questions and you ran with it. And I'm like, that's pretty good. And we have
that's my job. So yeah.
Yeah. I would have never known that I did. I personally knew that I didn't write that, but other people's I was reading is like, wow, that was really good. Shirley really got in their brain pan. That's kind of nice. But we're getting ready to do it again, right?
Yes, we're doing How to Maximize Your Network, and I can share that cover if you want.
Yes, absolutely.
Which is going to be the next book for RGA. It's coming out in the summer at the Summer Business Expo.
Okay.
This one is much longer sections than what we had in Best Business Minds at Tampa Bay, and this is actual information from the membership that's participating on how they use their network to take their business from startup to building it to pivoting to doing whatever they needed to do. There's 4 different sections to the book.
Okay.
And they can choose a section to work in.
Right.
And if they choose to do the platinum level, then they can have their co-author credit on the front. Wow. If they don't, then it's just a plainer cover that's by the RGA members. That's what's going to be on Amazon and everything else.
Right.
So you've got different pricing structures, different levels, and everything else. But we really wanted it to be informative. I don't want the RGA book to be just one ginormous 30-second commercial because nobody's going to read that. Right. We want to deliver, like I said earlier, value for people that are reading this book. And so that's the aim with Best Business Minds and with How to Maximize Your Network.
Oh, that's awesome. That's the first I saw that. So that's really nice.
This was designed by my cover designer, and I just really love what she did. And she's going to match the color of the person's clothing, the people that are on the cover, with one of these people that are in here. So you can see that she did the pink with Lindsay and the blue with Maureen, and it's just really kind of cool.
Oh, that's very nice. And so awesome. So how does that work? Someone orders, because are you going to do all those different types of covers?
So we'll print whatever the participant wants, because the inside will be the same for all the books.
Okay.
The covers will be different. And we talked to a printing company before we even launched this to ask them about how much it would be to print different covers. For the printing company, it's not that big of a deal because the interior is what takes the most amount of time and money. So we're going to just have these custom ones. You can order 5 or 10 or whatever Mark sets as the minimums when we get to that point.
Okay, so now this will also be something that goes up on Amazon, and you can order which one you want, or
it'll only be this one on Amazon,
okay,
just the one, because you can't have the same book with the same content with different covers. Amazon doesn't like to confuse people, so they'll only have this one. But you'll be able to use yours on your website or in person, whatever you want to do with it.
Right. And then you're marketing for everybody else. Yay.
Right. And the reason Best Business Minds hit number 1 on Amazon in 2 categories, and it's still there. It's in the top 10 in 2 or 3 categories at any given time. Okay. Is because we all marketed it together. We did a launch all together.
Right.
And we're going to do the same thing with How to Maximize Your Network to hopefully get all of those authors as Amazon bestsellers as well.
Right.
But no guarantee, because anything can happen in between. Tony Robbins or Stephen Covey could come out with a book the same day. But with a group effort like that, it really does make a difference and get the book up there in the rankings. And that's a nice thing to go around and say, hey, I'm a number 1 Amazon bestselling author.
Well, I've been saying it. Even though it wasn't me who wrote it. I mean, I have to say, I feel awkward sometimes saying it because I didn't write it. I know it's to me, I come from old school. You're not supposed to brag about yourself. That is just the way it is. And sometimes I feel that's what I'm doing and I don't like it. But I tell people I'm in a book that was one of the Amazon's bestsellers. And, if you want to go read my story and some others, it's absolutely one of the best books you'll get a hold of. That's kind of how I spin it. I never want to say, I wrote it, I'm not an author.
And that's awesome because however you need to participate and market it is how you do it, right?
Yeah.
With How to Maximize Your Network, the ones in the Best Business Minds, I think were a maximum of 600 words. With the Maximize Your Network, you're getting 3,000 words if you're doing the cover feature. Yeah. So you are going to end up writing a lot of it, although I will be doing a lot of editing and ghostwriting with that. You'll get a lot of it there.
So can I use Chat GPT?
Absolutely, as long as you don't copy somebody else's.
No, here we just talked about that this morning on Tech Shamans. If you use Chat GPT, you don't own copyright at all.
Oh, really?
No, ma'am, you do not.
Oh, wow.
And a lot of people are going, "Oh, I'm just going to use that." Nope. Chat GPT owns that copyright. They just wrote it for you. So we're just sitting.
Wow.
We're sitting back, waiting to see when they're going to pounce on the people that start making money off of it. Same thing with the artificial intelligent pictures. People are making these things and then they're putting them on T-shirts. Well, eventually, AI is going to say, "Hey, you owe us money because that's my artwork."
Right.
One of those things.
That's why my contract gives you back your copyright. So I'm very specific in it.
And we're, same way with us here in the studio, that when people do videos with us and if they pay for their spot, then it's theirs. I don't own intellectual property does not fly in Florida. It just does not. Right. So everybody has to be careful with that. So now do you have the pricing right now for the book? To be in the new book?
Yes. $2.99, $7.99, and $9.99 are the 3 levels. So the $2.99 is the silver level. You're not on the cover with that, but you are listed in the book and you've got a shorter segment.
Okay.
The $7.99, you get your name on the back of the book like we did with the Best Business Minds with the other authors. We put their names there, but they're going to be on the back of the book this time.
Okay.
And you get 2,000 words for your entry in there. And then the $9.99 is to have your face on the cover and then have the 3,000 words inside. And Mark did this great thing where he did a 2-pay and 3-pay system on the RGA network site. So if you type in 2-pay or 3-pay when you're in the shopping cart, it will break that into 3 payments or 2 payments so that you can, kind of maximize your cash flow there.
Right.
I know a lot of people don't necessarily have that money right there and they like to spread the costs out. And so we put that up as well as an option.
So what is the best client for you?
Best client for me is probably somebody that's smart about how to use their book, because I don't like the client to be unhappy at the end that they didn't make the money back. The ones who see it as a product and realize that it's another marketing tool.
Right.
To me, a book is a permanent advertisement out there for me and for my business. And so if you are smart enough to look at it that way as something that you can use constantly to get the word out and build your reputation in whatever area that you're working in, that's an ideal client.
Okay.
Because books, frankly, don't make any money. I've got 85 published. I'm not sitting on a yacht. So clearly I'm not making my money from those. Right. But I am making my money from speaking and coaching. So that's where it comes. I get the credibility of having the book and then get the clients from that.
See, we didn't even touch on the fact that you do coaching and you do speaking.
Mm-hmm. Yes, I do. Yeah.
So,
and it's great because it varies things up. And then, like my authors, I'll take my book and it costs me $4 or $5 to print, and I sell it for $20 a copy at the event.
Nice.
So I'm making a whole other revenue stream on top of my speaker fee.
Okay. And how far do you travel for speaking?
Oh, if they're going to fly me, I'll go anywhere. I've gone to New Zealand. I've gone all kinds of places.
All right,
You're going to fly me
That's
somewhere,
awesome.
I'll go everywhere.
I'll go anywhere you fly me to. They have to house you too, right?
Mm-hmm.
House you, feed you, fly you. That's perfect.
Yeah, I got to see part of Hobbit 2 being filmed. It was so cool.
No, that's awesome. So, see, that's a book story right there. That's a chapter. Just that alone is awesome. So what's the best way for people to get out to you?
To get to me
Yep.
is to just contact me through either LinkedIn, Shirley Jump, or go to my website, Jumpstart Creative Solutions. If you Google me, there's going to be a lot that comes up. We did it at a meeting, and it was 11 million hits. Oh. So you might want to go to LinkedIn or my website, or my member profile on RGA also works.
Okay, so you're on the RGA website and all that kind of stuff. Okay, you got about 45 seconds. What does RGA mean to you?
RGA to me means opportunities to help other people. RGA helped me build my business phenomenally in just a couple of years.
Okay.
And I've been able to give back and refer other people that are friends and have done a great job for me. And I think it's really that rising tide lifts all boats thing. And that's the right approach to networking, is to be there to help other people raise their potential.
Right. I couldn't have, remember when we sit around our meetings, why do you RGA? Well, that's why you RGA right there. Right. Well, Ms. Shirley, thank you for being on today, because, you are just a wealth of information, and all these people that watch you, hey, look, or listen, because it's podcast as well. Make sure you reach out to this young lady. She'll take good care of you and make you famous, hopefully. All right, everybody. Thanks for watching and listening to RGA Podcast today. We'll be back next week with another great guest. Bye-bye.